Yeah. To order. And please do the pledge of allegiance first.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And shall we do the roll call? Shall we do the roll call then?
You like me to?
Yes, please.
Okay, we have Member Stewart,
Here.
Member Kozak,
Present.
Member Hoffman,
Here.
Member Johnson.
Present.
Thank you.
We have a quorum.
Well, thank you. Do we have any people attending via staff? Only staff? Okay. Then what we would do, and we have only staff here in attendance. So we'll dispense then with the reading of the public comment information, I believe. So we can go right on ahead to approval of minutes. Dated April 22nd, 2025. Would everybody like a few moments to take a quick look at them, or are we ready to?
Pardon me, Vice
Do we need
Chairman.
to do-
May we please just approve the agenda first?
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I missed that.
Number 6.
Oh, yeah, number 6. I'm sorry, I did. Okay. then again, do we have any comments from the board or additions, deletions to the agenda?
None from staff.
None from staff?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Pardon me, was that second Director Hoffman, Member Hoffman or
Yes,
Johnson?
Johnson.
Thank you.
Johnson. All right. Now we'll do it again. Now let's go back to the minutes and is there a motion to approve the minutes of April 22nd, 2025?
So move.
I'll second.
Okay, motion Julie. Second James. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. So, thank you. Now let's move on to any there obviously is not going to be any public comment since we have none attending either electronically or in person at this point. And so we will go on forward to comments and requests. Our general manager isn't here today. Arlene, are you gonna
I just have
sit in?
a couple of small updates. I'll sit in for him.
Okay, thank you.
So last month, Jake briefed you all on the planned emergency shutdown of a pipeline for the water authority. So operations staff has been doing everything kind of in the background to prepare for that. They're filling up all of our reservoirs and tanks, sort of getting it pre-filled to the extent possible, given the warm weather. These shutdowns are normally done during cooler weather, so usage is a little bit lower. But in terms of communication, the Water Authority hasn't really released its own press release, its own landing page. They seem to not be following their previous communications protocols for events like this. But we did include information in our newsletter to update our customers on what to expect. We're preparing everything we can in the background, including completing the interconnect with FPUD that was approved by the board recently. So that should be up by the time the shutdown starts, June 1. So there really shouldn't be any noticeable impact for our customers. We just reminded them in the newsletter, kind of gave them information about everything we're doing to prepare and let them know it's not a time to be wasteful. You don't have to drastically change, but any discretionary use like filling up a swimming pool or anything like that, they could wait until, after June 21st. That would be helpful. So Robert, anything you wanted to add about what operations is doing?
That was pretty good, actually.
Hey.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to kind of publicly give Amanda some kudos. At the last board meeting on May 6th, there was public commenting on the quality of the newsletter, and the staff, including Robert, who presented at the fire symposium event that was in early May. So that was nice to hear that positive feedback
Great.
from the public. And then at next week's board meeting, the board will be, I think, doing the final approval of the budget. And then Amanda and operations staff have been working on the consumer confidence report, which will be published by July 1st. So that'll be in English and Spanish. And it's pretty much ready to go, just going through some final fine tuning and revisions. It will have information about some of the water authorities, water sources, because it covers the calendar year 2024. And we were still a member agency for 10 months out of the year. So, we're kind of explaining that in the document, why we're still reporting their data, even though we're no longer with them.
Got it.
So that's all I had.
Could I ask, are we still responsible for costs when they do these emergency shutdowns? Or not emergency shutdowns, but
Well-
these planned maintenance shutdowns?
Well, we're responsible for our costs. They don't reimburse us for the expenditures, that we have. Like, we used to spend a lot of money
Yes,
renting temporary pumps before we had these 3 permanent pump stations.
Pump
in the southern
stations.
zone.
yes. I
They
remember.
would do these, every couple of years, they would have a shutdown that required us to rent pumps. and it was very, very costly for us.
I remember
to rent them. They were
$150,000
noisy, a
cost.
nuisance in the neighborhood, and
Yeah.
our staff had to go constantly monitor
Yeah.
the generators for the pumps and refuel them.
Yeah.
So, but that was, you know, just a cost that we incurred. So having these pump stations really eliminates the need
Fantastic.
for all of that. But, you know, other things that we're doing will have a long-term benefit like for us for water resiliency, like our connection with FPUD. So there's benefits beyond just these periodic shutdown events.
Okay. That answers that question. Yeah, it used to be terribly expensive and we were taking big precautions because we didn't have any other way to, pump that water well.
To move the water around. So now we have a lot more options
Yeah.
as to how we move the water around our
Yeah.
facilities.
That's great. Excellent. All right. Thank you. Committee member comments. Do we have-
I have a comment. It seems to me that there's a great opportunity to maybe write up a little article for the Village News about what we had to do in the past when we had this kind of an outage. Like you said, the costs that we incurred in the past and how the board has taken steps to bring on these pumps.
The new pump
Made the
stations.
investment, with the new pump stations, and then made the deal with Fallbrook. And these things don't happen overnight, and they are quite expensive and costly, but it is an investment that can pay dividends, and I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Yeah.
And so, in effect, over time, as future maintenance is going to continue, these things will not necessarily pay for themselves, but when you look at the cost savings, it really does generate some real legitimate cost savings that the board took the courage to go ahead and put in this infrastructure. And a lot of organizations are eliminating some of these kind of decisions and postponing a problem for later on. And I'm glad to see this board has been proactive, and now we're sharing in the benefit of that. So I think it's an interesting story that, well-written could, be placed. I know the Village News was pretty busy with graduations, sports and everything, but you have everything. You're so proactive right now. Most people are not even gonna recognize that there could have been a problem here. And I think it's
Yeah.
worth mentioning the steps that are taken. So that's my only comment.
Thank you.
I think that's a great idea. If you could trace, how much we spent by year in the years that
the
was
previous years.
necessary, it would be maybe for the last 5 or 6 years or whatever period of time you want to cover, but it's a lot of money. When you start looking at, that's why I asked the question. Another advantage of detachment.
Because that was planned through.
Yeah.
Well, we were actually already planning on doing, at least one of these pump stations as, because of these periodic shutdowns that impacted our operations and our costs. So we recognized the need for a permanent pump station long before detachment was an idea.
Yeah.
So we just kind of accelerated the timeline to make that happen.
Fantastic. No. Good, very good point. Thank you. Any other comments from the members of the committee? All right. Let's go to quarterly customer service call metrics.
Yep, got some numbers for you guys here. These are going to be the past 3 months, February, March, and April. This is going to be the average hold time. So 50 seconds in February, 40 in March, 44 in April. February was a little bit higher just because we were getting a lot of calls after detachment. It was their first month that they got a bill after detachment. So spending a little bit more time on the phone. And then this is 24 versus 25. So pretty consistent. See last year's like in the mid 30s. But again, we strive to be under a minute. I don't know if you guys remember when I shared last time that statistic. Seems like the average is about 3 minutes, the other districts in the area. So we want to stay under a minute. And we've been doing that consistently. So real proud of my team for that. Next one's going to be the average talk time. So just like I mentioned, we're getting a lot of calls. in February because of detachment. People just wanted to know, why the bills aren't going down and, explain the rates, where do we get our water from? And then you get a little spike right there in February, and then March and April starts to kind of level off.
Yeah.
And then the talk time last year, again, averages around like the 4.5 minute mark. So pretty consistent there. Yes.
I have a question. In February, obviously it was detachment. What do you find are the most common issues that you're called upon, or is that part of your presentation?
So the main thing that they're calling about is trying to understand why the rates aren't going down, right? So that's basically the main question that they have is, hey, we were, after detachment, we were under the impression that the rates were going to decrease. And it's really about just explaining to them that the rates didn't decrease, but rather they didn't increase what they would have, right? So that's basically just educating people on why the rates are where they're at.
So I guess I have a question, if I may.
Yeah.
Since that is more of a consistent question,
Yes.
could it be on the website? Because the website's so packed with so much information that you could refer them also for further information to access the website.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe mention it in the newsletter.
We
Um,
did.
Yeah,
We
actually
actually
addressed
did.
Yeah.
that
And it's on the
website.
and it is on the website too,
Yeah,
on the
it is.
rates page.
Yeah, it's on
yeah.
the scrolling carousel when you first hit the
Yeah.
homepage, but we did address it in December, and we've kind of tried to follow up every quarter with reiterating that rates didn't go up, they remained
Right.
steady.
And we're not having to pass on what would have been very high water authority pass-through increases. Yeah.
Because we would have had an increase in July
Yeah,
next month.
Yeah,
2 months.
and
great
it's,
job. But
and-
I was just curious,
Yeah.
what are the common, most popular, not popular, but
Yeah.
most asked questions?
and you
So-
see the call volumes going down.
Yes,
Because people are getting the picture.
which is
Mhm.
good. So that's a reflection to your team and you.
Yep.
And actually the whole department.
Going through the process of detachment, the estimates that we were making about what it would save us ultimately, we actually are saving more than that. We had to be very conservative back then about, that we would save over time, but what's happened is that the rates at the Water Authority have gone up so fast that they've way outstripped what we originally estimated to be our savings. The unfortunate part is just the optics of not increasing is not as nice as decreasing.
Yeah.
But the actual amount that our ratepayers are saving is greater. And so, and I think they're doing a great job with it. I see here in May that the water rates will not increase in July as a result of detachment is right at the top of the newsletter, in that upper right-hand corner, and that's a great place for it. And it catches your attention, will not increase in July. Making it, very evident that we are, that is our advantage, but it's not decreasing at this point, but it will look like it over time.
Mhm.
Bill, you bring up a very good point. You mentioned the word a couple sentences ago about detachment being a process.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, mistakenly think, okay, we're detached, like a line just got drawn.
Yeah.
And in some respects it did. However, as you go through this process, you start seeing what the water authority is starting to charge. And someone mentioned about the rate increases coming in bigger in July. I think we ought to consider reserving some space on the newsletter. Maybe it's that upper corner like you've been using, just to just give some real facts when they become available, that your bill this month would have been, if we were attached, our average user uses this, your bill would have been this. With our detachment, it's now this. So even though the rates, didn't go up, it just shows real cost savings that people, I think, can relate to. And you can say this is an example as opposed to, to cover yourself. But I think since it's a process, we need to continue to show what the impacts are over time.
Right.
So people finally get that they made the right decision by voting yes for detachment. I think we want to reinforce that positive behavior. That's just a suggestion.
But I think we all agree with that. And I think everything's so far, you guys have just done a great job of bringing us to this point. It's, but not letting that be forgotten is a really important thing. No, nobody in the state has done what we have been able to do or had the opportunity to do it by circumstances, partially just because our district happened to be up against another district that was another water purveyor that was had a lot less expensive rate structure and was willing to accept us. And so that became a key to this. Can't happen if you're landlocked, probably would never happen. And
Josh, did we interrupt your PowerPoint?
No,
uh,
feel free. I'll pick up wherever.
What?
I had a.
You're flexible
I
like
had a
that.
question on your PowerPoint. Are you logging in on these calls and these talk times?
Hmm.
Do you ask, are you residential or agriculture? Did they tell you? I'm just curious of the call volumes we're getting. Is it 10% agriculture, 90% residential, or what the actual, how does it
Yeah.
shake out?
Yeah, the majority are going to be residential customers that are calling about
Mhm.
this. I feel like the ag customers definitely closer to like the 10% mark, like you just mentioned. So when we were tracking like every single call for those 3 months, that's when we were keeping record of what the class code was. And even then, it was still the residential customers were the majority of the callers. Mhm.
Fantastic. Proceed.
So this is were you gonna say something?
Right.
Oh, I was just gonna, on the common question about why rates haven't gone down. Now that we have our next budget planned, for board approval, and we know how we've already paid the exit fee, we know how that was financed. We are planning on updating our rate study, so we'll have better information on whether it is reasonable to, lower rates or change the ratio of fixed to variable rates for different rate classes. And so we'll be updating that, and in the next few months, I believe Constantine is working on getting that started.
Fantastic.
Okay. Last slide I have is the total calls. So 922 for February, 941 in March, and then you'll see it goes down to 886 in April. So that was that really wet month that we experienced. So typically what the trend tells us is that whenever we do experience wet months, we don't really get that many calls, right? Because customers' bills are down, they're not using as much water.
Mhm.
So they really don't have much to really contact us for. And then in the blue below, you'll see those are the callbacks. So 12, 11, and 12. And then almost all of them were basically just to make a payment. So we found out that the people that were requesting callbacks just didn't want to wait on hold, and they just requested a callback, and then we called them back and took a payment over the phone.
So is it safe to assume that most of the volume is around the billing time?
Yes, absolutely.
So, okay, that's good to know as well. Thanks.
And then this is comparing the calls to last year. You see a little bit of a spike this year again, just because detachment was so fresh, got a lot of calls. But now, like Bill said, starting to kind of steady out. So pretty consistent. If we're staying under 1,000, we're doing pretty good. So
Great work.
thank you.
So these calls are all calls. So if someone
All.
wants to establish service, that's logged as a call here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, everything that the inbound phone receives. So when you call the main line, it gets tracked as one call there. Is that for that? Anyone else have any other questions?
I don't know.
Appreciate the numbers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That it?
Yep, that was it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you for all that information. That's information years ago, we wouldn't have dreamed of having.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's very valuable to have, and we can't imagine how we got along without it.
Yeah.
being able, having metrics on, what's going on at the, with call volume and and at the front desk. Water use efficiency rebates update.
Yes, this was a request at our previous meeting, and I believe this is the first time we've actually reviewed all of our rebates. So we receive our rebates through the SoCal Water Smart Rebate Program. It's sponsored by Metropolitan Water. It helps reduce regional water demands and ensure our greater water reliability. So there's 26 member agencies participating, including EMWD. And as of this month, we have now officially moved from being classified under the Water Authority to EMWD. So any applications that were received during that time period from November 1st till now will be covered during that gap period. So the County of San Diego is actually going to fill in those funds there since we're officially detached. So that was something that came from EMWD today. So I was very happy to hear that those applications will be pushed through. There is a fantastic interactive website where you can actually, you don't need to log in any information. You can assess your amount that you will receive for each rebate type. So get an idea of, do you want to go through this what can be long process of applying for any of their rebates on the website, but it's very useful. There's also landscape contractor recommendations for your service area, but wonderful tool.
What is that website?
It's SoCalWatersmart.com.
Thank you. Okay.
So these are some of our outdoor residential rebates. There's rebates for sprinkler nozzles. Those come at $2 each with a minimum of 30 nozzles required for your application. Irrigation controllers, that's usually like a Raccio irrigation device. It's a smart device that will allow you to program your outdoor watering based upon how the weather changes. So the past few weeks where we've had dramatic heat waves and then dipping down into the 60s with some little rain, that would come in very much handy. The controllers are $80 or each station is $35. And then our turf replacement program. This is a little bit complicated. The Met coverage point is $4. However, EMWD matches another amount, so it's $1. So $5 per square foot is covered within this area. And you can replace with drought-resistant plants. There's also some requirements for having a water feature, and there's a tree incentive. So $100 for every tree that you replace with a maximum of 5 trees there. So that was a new program that rolled out last year that they're still moving forward with. We also have rain barrels. Those are anywhere from $35 to $350 based upon the container size. So the smaller containers, you can do 2, the larger ones, you could do 1. And the average time frame for when you submit your application to when you receive your check is anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. So it's great to go into that platform there on the website and figure out how much you're going to receive. Some people don't like that long process. Others just really would like to add some sort of one of these features to their home.
Amanda, later today, could you please send to the committee members this PowerPoint?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
And then we have indoor residential rebates. So you can replace your toilet with a high efficiency toilet that's going to use about 1.1 gallons per flush. That estimates to about like 20% less water usage. So in the long run, it is going to be beneficial for you. They're a little bit higher in price compared to a traditional toilet, but the cost benefit savings is there. Clothes washers, the rebates start at $85. There's an entire list of every single model type number that is regularly updated on the website. So you can figure out which one you want to buy at Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever you like. And it saves about 14 gallons per day. This is the most amount of savings that a residential customer is going to save is through their clothes washer. It's the highest area of consumption of water.
Is this on the website?
On the SoCal Water Smart website, and then we're transferring the information to our site. So all of it will be available with links.
Okay.
But right now we're currently linking to SoCal Water Smart.
Thank you.
Do you have to get approval before you purchase toilet, clothes washers, that sort of thing?
Yeah, you want to make sure that you are matching the item number on their site with this, that you're purchasing the correct item. So it is worth it to perhaps call. There's great customer support and just to double check to make sure you are within the guidelines for it. I know I personally have purchased a new clothes washer and I was going to go through the rebate process until I figured out mine was not on there.
Yeah.
So kind of have to plan ahead of time. But when you're in dire need of a washer, you,
You move.
yes,
What's in stock? Yep.
yes, exactly.
I know I got filled up with a vendor and ended up going to the local laundromat for 4 weeks.
Oh,
Well, when they broke all the valves, putting in the new washer.
Hmm.
Yeah, they broke the valves and then the vendor didn't want to come out and pay the hundreds of dollars it was going to take to pull them out and repair them. And so we got into a little fight that ended up consuming a month. So I've been to a laundromat in 50 or 60 years. It's quite an experience to be doing that every couple of days. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, we have
That's
one more here for flow monitoring devices.
Mm.
Metropolitan has a wide range of flow monitoring devices, those automatic shut off devices that do require a plumber to install. Those range anywhere from $500 up to $1,400. There is a $100 rebate.
Okay.
Some agencies do offer an incentive where they get grant funds or find money within their budget to cover that complete cost, including installation from a plumber. It is quite a hefty cost. However, they've targeted, let's see, EMWD and Western have both targeted high consumption use or cases where a customer has had a substantial leak.
Hmm.
So they will provide a device to kind of mitigate any future incidences. It's quite an investment. It's an extensive campaign to roll out, and it requires a lot of internal support. So to make sure those customers install to fulfill the grant requirements, their customer service team has to call. They have to make site visits to make sure. So it's a lot more money than I believe we had originally accounted for with, rolling out new devices. These devices are available through Met. And then they also have the Flume device, but we are, if not the lowest price point for any customer in California for a Flume device. And that's because of our wonderful contract we had set up. Our previous GM, Tom, got in on the ground floor. So this device retails for $249. We have an instant rebate where we cover a portion of the cost. Our customer only has to pay $49. We pay for shipping, we pay for the other amount. This monitors indoors and outdoors with a connection to Wi-Fi with up to 1,000 feet. There has been a significant increase in device orders and installation since we first started rolling out a water use efficiency campaign through a series of newsletter articles, website updates, and then our team, Josh's team, informing our customers about the benefits of this device. So last year we had about 130 devices installed, 75 installed, 130 purchased, 26 so far this year, and 16 installed. So the number on that is actually dramatically increased. We've had a 66% increase in installation since 2023, and a little over 70% of devices increased that were purchased during that time period as a result of our very grassroots campaign of minimal cost, just newsletter production calls. So we have less than 130 devices left on our contract right now. We average anywhere from 6 to 12 devices each month. And that number fluctuates based upon our promotions that we do on newsletters or anything that we've had events where we hand out flyers. We notice an uptick due to those items there.
I think that's funny. My neighbor said, my husband was putting it in and he asked, what are you doing? And he called and you guys helped him walk him through it. He said it was really easy. I could have figured this out, but it was very nice. He said, you guys are really, really nice. But my neighbor's like, I have one of those in my garage. So when it says like 131 devices, 75 installed, I laugh at that because it's in their garage.
Funny.
Yeah.
And we've worked in tandem with Flume. What was it? Last fall and then the beginning of each year, we have their customer service team send out email reminders and then calls. So after about 6 weeks, they receive an email, and then another 90 days after, they also receive an email to kind of gently remind the customer, you have this device, please connect it. And we also have support videos on our website, really quick, easy YouTube tutorials. So we're trying our absolute best to try to push those customers to install because it's to their benefit.
What's funny is if you go to the Flume website, the district's phone number is on there.
Oh,
So they
wow.
pick up the phone thinking they're calling Flume, but it actually comes to us. So
Yeah,
my team,
they don't have their own phone number.
They
They do
don't.
email service
Yeah.
only.
Mm.
so
And then they usually will just refer you to one of their YouTube
yeah,
installation videos.
so we've become real good at troubleshooting. Rich.
Know how to do it. Flo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions on rebates?
I have a comment. I have both of them. at my home. And Fume is far more efficient.
Really?
You have both Flume and another device?
And a flow device.
That flow device.
Oh, the mowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. It's really informative. Yeah, but I think with the committee, it would be great to have that.
It's funny, I met Clem today. Do you know, I don't know
Yeah.
Clem.
Yeah.
And he was at my neighbor's house and I'm like, hi, and I introduced myself, but I go, they haven't been there for a long time, the people. I don't know where they are. And he said they called and said they feel like they had a leak, but they have their water's on like 5. I don't know what happened, but it's on 7 days a week. So he turned their water off. But if they would have had that, they would have seen
You can see the usage
The-
throughout the.
yeah,
Right.
that didn't, yeah, and it would have they
that remote
gotten
shut
over-
off would have been nice, but we don't have that with Flume, right?
No.
That's
No.
why the other one's more.
That's why the other ones cost more and
Yeah.
they have to be installed by a plumber
Mm.
for the mechanism to do the automatic shut off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but famously, I was in Arizona for a month.
Mm.
I was monitoring the flume and all of a sudden I'm using water and one of my valves had burst and my automatic irrigation system was running. So every time, so it turned on and, it's poops in the well, I was able to get somebody
Yeah.
to come over and shut off my water and fix it. From there, could have run for weeks. I mean, literally. So it's such a great thing to have and to be able to act on when you're away from your property, especially. All right, great. Anything further on that?
No.
Okay. Well, let's go to community events update.
Yes, so earlier this month, Carlene, Robert, Luke, Lisa attended the Wildfire Symposium at Fallbrook High School. They gave,
I'm like,
Yes,
wait,
that is a picture of you right
Yeah,
in there and a picture
Commander
of Robert
Fire,
presenting.
Yeah.
They gave an overview of what to expect during an emergency event, how you should prepare as a resident of our community. Our team only spoke for, 5 minutes, Robert? Very briefly. And then attendees were invited to come outside and speak. And that's a photo there of our booth where the team answered questions one-on-one. So it was a wonderful way for us to give confidence to our community members in knowing that we are prepared in an emergency event. And earlier this month, we hosted our first field trip with the city of Oceanside. I had previously worked when we were attending water authority meetings with members of city of Oceanside, and we collaborated on hosting a school field trip. So on the 7th, we hosted middle schoolers, and tomorrow we'll be hosting chemistry students from Bonsall High School. Students were met in the lobby here. There's a photo. There's a large topographical map when you walk into the lobby that shows the entire plant. The tour was about an hour and 45 minutes where the plant operator gave students a real up close view of the areas and the treatment that our wastewater goes through the process before it is either sent to another station or dumped out into the ocean. We also got a tour of the pure water facility and really stressed the importance of it is all of our jobs to keep the pipes clean. We focused in on the 3 Ps of those should be the only things to flush. And then a demonstration was given of what happens when you flush things down the toilet that should not be flushed. So we put 2 glasses of water on the counter, one with toilet paper, and students got to see how it quickly dissolved. a flushable wipe was put in another one and it did not dissolve right away. We came back after 2 hours and it was still sitting there in the water. So students really understood that we need to pay attention to the things that we put down the drain because they all end up at that facility. One of the most noteworthy items were those tiny little stickers that go on our produce.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little.
They collect millions of those at the facility. I mean, just chunks of them inside of
That's
her.
crazy. I
Because
put those in
people-
the trash.
Yeah, cool. Well, a lot
Yeah,
of
you're
people will
supposed
put them
to.
in the garbage disposal with the
I
peel
know.
if you're peeling something, but yeah.
But they don't
stickers-
disintegrate, huh?
They do not. They
No.
go on and live there. Yeah, along with everything else, people should not be flushing down the toilet. So compared to years past where we had roughly like the past 3 field trips, we've only had like under 20 students, probably around 15. This one we saw 25 with the middle schoolers. We'll have another 25 tomorrow. 6 staff members went along with us, 3 at the first field trip and 3 tomorrow. And we were able to dramatically reduce the amount of hours spent on a field trip. So usually when we host it here, we lose a lot of time with our operations crew, engineering, customer service, everybody. It's all hands on tech. This has really helped us reduce the amount of hours and then expose kids to a new area and insight into wastewater. They never really thought about it. We had a lot of comments where students thought, I didn't really want to come here, but I'm glad I did. I didn't know this went on. So it's a lot of education planning we're trying to do at a young age so that when they become adults, they understand how they should be taking care of their house and everything goes down the drain is seen at a wastewater facility.
And I think most will agree that the students educate the parents
Yes.
from an event like this. So
Yeah.
you got a multiplier effect going here. So I would strongly encourage you to continue these school outreach sessions,
Yeah.
both on water and wastewater, because it's a way we can really educate our customers.
Definitely. And then ultimately provide them a career pathway. Most people don't think you can find a job locally, and in the water industry, there are plenty of opportunities. This is just a recap video of the
Is it just one teacher's class?
It was 2 teachers. Yeah.
Because 25 kids isn't that many.
we were competing against several STEM filters that day.
Well, I meant for.
Our next event that we have scheduled is our blood bank drive with San Diego Blood Bank. They will be here on Thursday, June 19th. There is a sign up form on the website so you can schedule your appointment. All participants will receive a free San Diego Padre blood drive t-shirt. It's a very nice bus. You get to sit on an incline and watch a monitor, pick your movie you want to watch. It's we're cross promoting with
Literally.
our local chambers of commerce and the health district, and then distributing flyers to coffee shops and local businesses. So if you are interested, please sign up. It's a great self-sustainable event. We do very limited staff hours that day, but it's really important for us to increase our blood supply because we are at an all-time low and all of the blood donated stays within our local area.
Is that just blood or is it, that one?
You can do plasma. It's
Yeah.
a longer appointment.
I
time.
know. So is that on there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There's room for there. I think there might be 2 appointments there.
Okay.
Any questions on events?
Great. Great report. Okay. Let's go on to newsletter content.
Sure. This month of May, it kind of touches on some of the things Mr. Kosak was requesting on the benefits of detachment. We cover in here about our safe and reliable water supply, how we are not raising rates come July 1st. The emphasis on keeping water rates steady. We also lead into our water use efficiency programs and explain the benefits there. There's a link at the bottom to 8 different virtual workshops that are free through Met and Green Gardens Group. Anything ranging from how to make your garden more water use efficient, how to garden with kids and pets, how to replace your turf, just a whole series of workshops that are available on our website. So there's a link there and then a QR code. The construction notice, Carlene touched on it earlier about the Water Authority emergency maintenance. There's a hotline there and an email available if any of our customers have questions. It just gives an overview of what we are doing, steps we've taken to mitigate the potential issues that we may have there, and then how our customers can help out. It also leads into our summer months when we want to give some tips on adjusting your irrigation, avoid any water overuse there. Page 2 has information on our Division 1 pump stations. So that highlights the importance of those stations, how they were critical to reaching detachment and the benefits of them during this time period with this emergency shutdown, how that has helped us reduce costs so that we do not have to rent any devices, or excuse me, equipment there. We have information on the summer blood drive and individual programs for the water use efficiency, things that we went over just earlier with clothes washers, toilets, irrigation systems, and flume. So a jam-packed informational newsletter. We address all the stuff we kind of mentioned earlier about informing our customers about pump stations and rates.
You know, I'm continually impressed with the look and the font size and all the information you're able to pack onto a short piece of information that comes with the bill. And I mean, it's really valuable for all the customers, and, kudos to you and your team for putting this together and continuing to make it top notch. It takes a lot of effort, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. It's a lot of editing. I do my part and research and put it together and design it. And then Carlene, Jake, and then other departments have their input so they make sure that we're sending out the most accurate information and then posting it on our website. We want to be that really constant informational source in an age where a lot of government agencies are perceived as not trustworthy. We want to establish ourselves as a very trustworthy source of information. And this has helped us. And from our feedback from some of our customers at events and the board meetings, committee meetings, it's really kind of reinforced that we're on that right path.
Stellar, just stellar. The transparency is greatly appreciated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, going into June, we are going to lead in with our water quality update, introduce the 2024 Consumer Confidence Report, touch on some hot button items in the media, fluoride, plastics, and all that information is going to be sourced directly from Met, from their fact sheet, and then a virtual tour of our water supply. There are 2 wonderful videos that Met put together of the state water supply and the Colorado River Aqueduct that give you a better idea of how far our water travels, what it takes to get here before it reaches our taps. So that'll be a QR code and then links in the next newsletter. We will go over some of the touch points from the Wildfire Symposium, emergency tips as we lead into the summer heat, pet and animal disaster evacuation information, and then how to keep up your house. So clearing brush around your property, establishing an evacuation plan, and keeping your emergency contact information updated with our team. So we have a quick link on our website where you can enter in your address and that'll be sent directly to Josh and his team, or you can call on the phone. Either of those options work. We're going to do a review of the educational programs. Thank our student volunteers that helped us out at the Avocado Festival, highlights from our field trip, and then a partnership. So Lisa is going to be attending, I believe Julie are both attending the Bonsall Forward event that is going to take place tomorrow. So we're going to have a few photos from those. It's just to honor our graduating seniors. 2 of them did participate with us at the Avocado Festival, and they have an enormous amount of awards coming their way. So we want to make sure to give them highlight. In July, we're going to focus in on keeping your wastewater system clean. reiterate what you should not flush, especially those fogs, food waste, prescription pills. A video link. EMWD has a wonderful video on the path that your wastewater takes through once it's flushed down the toilet and what happens. It's a cute little animation, not real life pictures, but it gives you a better idea. We will highlight our 2025 poster contest winners. Those are fourth graders from various elementary schools that submitted their posters into the NCWA contest. Bill payment options. This is something we haven't really highlighted before, but we want to make sure people understand the different ways that you can pay your bill, and one of those being at US Bank. Not many people know that, but we wanted to make sure that that information is out there. And then our customer survey will be revived, and we're offering a little bit of an incentive there. If you take the survey, you can come in and pick up a water bottle or a water bowl. That's all of our planning for the next 2 months.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
It
Very impressive.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We try to keep up to date with, you mentioned call topics. So I check in with Josh and his team to better understand what exactly they're discussing with our customers, anything that sticks out. We want to make sure that that information is available on the website and our newsletter, because if one person's asking that question, you likely have a dozen more people who want to know the same thing.
That's great. All right. Thank you very much. Public communications and related media stories.
We have a
See, you
few-
have a few attached here.
We do. We have a few articles that were from the Village News. We participated in the Wildfire Preparedness Symposium and then the Bonsall Unified inaugural community career fair. And then we have new print collateral. Carly mentioned before the Consumer Confidence Report. We kind of increased the amount of information in this, but that's just a snapshot of all the data from our ops team. And there's more inside about where your water comes from, the process from, Met to Lake Skinner to us. So we just wanted to fill in a lot of those gaps with agencies people have been hearing about a lot lately. Who is Eastern, who is Water Authority, who we are, what's State Water Project. This helps clears up a lot of those questions there. And we will have the report available in English and Spanish on the website, and then print copies here at the office.
Fantastic. Great. Okay. Suggest agenda items for next meeting. We're at that point.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Mhm.
This may go under more possible community events. I've noticed, I've only lived in Fallbrook now a little over 3 years, but I've noticed that there's a lot of garden club activity in Fallbrook. And I'm just wondering if it makes sense as a water district, if we should reach out to those garden clubs in some form or fashion. Maybe being a speaker at one or two of them on how to be smart with using water for the people that are gardening, whether it's landscape or gardening for vegetables or their orchard trees or things like that. Because that's another group of people that we're working with the youngsters at the middle schools and possibly high schools, but also the older folks that are more actively involved in gardening might be another resource of a touchstone for our district to make good contact with. The other thing I was wondering is, do we have we considered doing any kind of irrigation training for certification, maybe once or twice a year, where, there's a lot of landscapers out there that call themselves landscapers, but they clean up debris, but then if one of their customers has irrigation leaks or problems, do they, getting them trained to do irrigation properly could also be a big water saving device. And if we can train local people to improve their skills on irrigation and how to do things properly. I don't know if other water districts do certification training or not, but
We actually have cards in the lobby for the well DCP training.
Okay.
And then we've advertised workshops in the past that were here locally to receive a dual certification for irrigation as well as like drought resistant landscaping.
Mhm.
So there is a certification process. We previously did it with Water Authority, but there is a program through Met that is available, and that's kind of like on the SoCal Water Smart website.
Okay.
There's a commercial section that has all of those classes that you can take, but we can definitely advertise more about those and look
Okay.
into perhaps hosting an event.
Yeah.
Yeah, same with
Those,
gardening.
I seem to recall that they're like webinars and
Yes.
virtual offerings as well. So
Yeah.
even though it's through Met, they don't have to drive to LA for them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'd be an agenda item, but I have a suggestion for consideration. Since we've been very involved with Bonsall Unified School District, especially secondary. Normally they do senior exit surveys to get input from seniors.
Yeah.
It may be something you might want to consider is having a question on there regarding STEM or whatever you choose, that the seniors could give input for future events that Rainbow could collaborate with them on. That's it.
I have a couple of suggestions or thoughts. One is that there have been two capital improvement programs that we have undertaken over the last 4 or 5 years that were pretty major. Of course, the largest was our meter replacement program.
Mhm.
Now that's complete. I think it'd be a great idea occasionally to highlight places where we've made investment that was a serious amount of money to make, but now we're receiving all the results of that investment. Now, so, the water meter program it would be great to do a recap of that and how long it took, that we were able to do a great deal of the work with our in-house crews and to augment our contractor. Now we have a very accurate program that's 8,000 some hookups that we know that what people are getting charged for water is the accurate amount, not what 25-year-old meters were giving us. And that we've recouped some losses that the district had in the process. The other program was putting in a whole series of pressure reducing stations, which happened in the last 3 years, 4 years. Robert, I know it started off badly with a contractor who wasn't performing and ended up, I think, Robert, didn't your crews implement quite a few of them?
Yeah, we took over installing them instead of the contractor, and we still have 3 down in the lower lot, the EFI shelters. 2 of them are going on La Cañada, and that project's gonna start, I think, late winter or early winter probably.
Fantastic.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I know that it transformed what was happening in our community. We had an area that was just blowing out our main lines over and over again because of the head pressure coming from the big tanks that were up above us that was not controlled. And so we've literally had more than a dozen main breaks in our streets that required us to dig up brand new roads that we had recently repaved. And all the problems that resulted from that. The pressure reducing station went in. I don't think we've had a mainline break since.
Nope.
Not a one. And it's been 2 or 3 years. So, sometimes you make those investments and we made them because, I mean, literally, where in the areas where we were having frequent main breaks, we're all kind of the same. It was, 25, 30-year-old water systems not having the protection of controlling pressure. They just all start giving out at once, and over a short period of time, these things were happening. might be great to kind of revisit
Yeah.
those things. When that came to mind as we were discussing this savings that we're going to realize having put in new pump stations for the shutdown by the water authority. And then we make these investments actually to save money a lot of the time and putting in more modern equipment. So it might be something to work with. Any other comments by any of the? Well, then it's quit and go home. Let's adjourn the meeting at 1:56. We got it in within an hour.
Less than an hour.
Okay,
Good job.
but great job to staff today for, again, all the great work that we're being presented with.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, we're canceling the June meeting, so the next meeting of this committee will be in July,
Okay.
July 15th.
And-
Really